Hag Sukkot Sameach, or Happy Sukkot. Today I'm here in Jerusalem Center, where the locals as well as tourists from many countries have come up to Jerusalem to celebrate this special festival of Sukkot, or as we also call it in English, Feast of Tabernacles, or the Feast of Booths. And this is a special time as it marks the end, a very celebratory and joyous end to the high holiday season. And Sukkot is a week-long holiday, 5 days after Yom Kippur. And the tradition is to dwell during this week-long festival in a sukkah or a tent. And as we can see here behind me is supposedly the world's largest sukkah or tent built specifically for the Sukkot holiday. And we are here at the Jerusalem's municipality building behind the sukkah, and we can see that people are entering the sukkah, as tradition says, to dwell in it, to be joyous in it, to share a meal, be with your family, and be with your community. And this really shows the strength of the Jewish people as they're respecting and honoring their history, their heritage, and the peoplehood, as they remember their times in the desert, as they were wandering in their way to the promised land, living in these temporary homes, in Hebrew as we call them, Sukkot. But to learn more about what this really means and how can we, from the countries all over the world, how we can relate to this festival, I invite you to listen now to the interview with Moshe Kempinski from the Old City. So now we are here in the Old City at the Shoroshim Biblical Store and Learning Center with Moshe Kempinski, who is the owner of this shop. So you want to say something shortly about yourself?
We opened up the shop about 36 years ago. I did many things before, family therapy, a religious teacher, but we decided to have a shop that would remind people of why they're here, because everybody that comes to Israel feels something. It doesn't matter where they're coming from, what biblical understanding or non-biblical understanding, there's a sense of arrival in this land. And we wanted people to have a place where they would be motivated to talk about it. So essentially that's what we do.
But today we're here actually because it's Sukkot week, the Feast of Tabernacles or the Feast of Booths. And I want to ask you, so where does this feast come from?
So in the scripture, in the Bible, it talks about how I want you to create these booths you live in order to remember that when you came out of Egypt, you lived in booths in the desert. So two questions come up. One is, why is that so important? And second of all, if that was the case, why don't we do it after Passover? Why do we do it now after the high holidays, Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah? So the first question is, the concept of being in the desert, completely not sure where the next day will bring, and living in a booth trusting that God is protecting, a sense of celestial protection, is really what Sukkot is all about. When we enter the Sukkah, we're saying, I'm leaving my house, I'm leaving what I know to be secure, or at least I think it's secure, and I'm coming into this because I depend on you, I trust you. And that trust is what gives us a sense of joy. So why is it not after Passover? And the reason is because in essence, what we really want is, we've just finished the high holidays, which I think you've talked about. And those are times where we try to find some inner sense of finding me again. It's not so much about getting rid of sin, it's really about, how do I find my me? How do I find out what it is that I really want to do, that I believe is important? That's not an easy process. It's a long process of Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, fasting and everything else. And at the end of that, you feel a little scratched. Your soul is a little scratched. You've worked so hard at finding you, and suddenly you're not the happiest in the world of finding you, because you realize, I could have been so much more than who I became. So that we change. But that sense of a soul being scratched, a heart being a little bit broken, the only way to solve that, or salve that, S-A-L-V-E, is with joy. So God says, you know what, let's have a holiday of joy. What makes it joyful? God says, I'm going to tell you what your beloved, wants. You'll bring it. There's nothing more joyful than being able to bring someone you love what it is you know they want. So He asks us to build a sukkah. He asks us to find 4 species, palm branch, myrtle branch as well. why? There's a whole bunch of symbolism of why we think it's, but really what it is a gift. So if you were here during the days when they were buying things, you'd see people looking at a fruit like they're buying a diamond, checking with a magnifying glass, seeing if the palm branch is straight. And people come in and go, what is it with you guys? What are you doing? I mean, you're adding all these rules. They've missed the point. It's finding a gift for the beloved. The beloved says, that's what I want. I want it to be the most nicest fruit I could find. It's being able to bring to somebody you love the best that you can. That's the other great lesson. To know you can trust on God and know that you have the potential to try and receive and achieve the best.
Yeah, beautiful. And I hear that Sukkot is not only for the Jewish people, but that people from all over the world, from the nations, can relate to that. Can you explain?
Right. Well, first of all, during Sukkot, the time of the temple, they used to bring 70 bulls as part of the Thanksgiving sacrifice for the 70 nations, for all the nations of the world, because everybody needs to learn that lesson. Everything in the Bible is really for the whole world. Everybody needs to learn the lesson to know that it's all about trusting. Trusting that there's a purpose in this world, trusting there's a purpose in your life, and that your job is to take what little you have, little grass on branches on the floor, wooden planks, whatever you have, you can make that into a palace. So if you were to go into a sukkah, which is what the nations of the world will also understand, if you can go into that little thing that you created and sit in that and enjoy that new reality, that new truth, you'll feel like you're in a palace. And instead of worrying so much about how big can I build my house, how many marble towers can I build, but know that the thing that gives us joy in this life is a sense of purpose and a sense of I can move forward. And all the world will be able to get to that point.
Wow. So, but practically speaking, so when does the holiday start? How long is it? What do you do? What your family will do?
So it started actually 2 nights ago. We gathered together, built a sukkah. Interesting enough, remember Yom Kippur is a fasting for 26 hours, and after that fasting, after they eat something, you'll see people right away going out and building. I want to be part of this right away. So they actually go out, they build, and my kids, my grandchildren, they all help with the building. All my grandchildren drew little cartoons and pictures that they would put up or sign their name or whatever it is that they can be part of. So their sukkah as well. And for me personally, we had a very large sukkah. We brought in 30 of our family, just sat for that whole first day enjoying each other. Because the greatest gift God gave us, you know, when we left Egypt, if you were to do a movie about leaving Egypt, you'd have everybody getting together in Tahrir Square, gigantic noise, trumpets. That isn't what God says. God says, I want every one of you to go into your family. Shut the door. That's how you build a people. That's how you build a person. Find your family. That's your building block. From that building block, everything happens. So Sukkot was all about celebrating the family under God's protection with all the beauty that those children and you tried to create.
Wow, amazing. And as I mentioned to you before we started this interview, we did a Yom Kippur special with Professor Ephraim Meir, and we discussed the link between the Book of Yonah and Yom Kippur. But I believe there's also a connection between the Book of Yonah and Sukkot. Is there something you want to...
Not only in the Book of Yonah and Sukkot, but even in the Bible, God says, Sakoti, I will put my hand over you. He uses the same word, Sukkah. So in essence, at the end, Jonah is so concerned that God's name will be desecrated because you're accepting the repentance of people who really aren't that serious. God says, for me, they're serious. I don't care if it's only for today. That's how people grow. They take a step, they may fall back, but they take a step, and when they come back, they're in a better place than they were before. In the end, God says, I'm going to put you under a sukkah. Rest here. Understand you're under my protection. And then I'm even going to put shade. But then I'll take the shade away for a day. And all of a sudden you're complaining because I'm trying to teach you something. What I'm trying to teach you is that even if you take that step forward for a day, don't belittle it. Because you've changed after that day. If you fall back, the next time you decide to take a step forward, you'll be a step ahead anyway. So Sukkot gives us that opportunity to feel it, and that's what happened to Jonah, but that's what occurs for all of us.
Wow, thank you so much. So is there something you want to wish our audience here on this Sukkot
So
day?
let me speak because I'm a religious Jew. So I speak out of the Bible. To some of you it'll speak, to some of you it won't. But let me tell you what I see after being here 36 years. God says a weird thing about Israel. He says, this is my land. If you believe in God, everything's His. The whole world is His. So what does He say, this is my land? He says, I want it to be a place so when you walk into it, you'll feel like you've entered into my house. Everybody that comes to this land, whether they're Jewish, Christian, Muslim, non-believing, they have a sense of arrival when they arrive. There's a sense of, I'm coming back to something. I don't know what it is, but there's a sense their soul leaps at it. I'm simply inviting you to come in and experience that. When you experience that sense of arrival, you'll walk out of here different than you did, not here at the store, in this land, different than you did before you came. The opportunity is waiting for you. You just have to seize it.
Thank you so much, Moshe. Thank you for having us at your shop.
My pleasure.
I think we learned a lot from Moshe about this very joyous and happy festival of Sukkot. But now let's hear from some of the locals. So what do you like about Sukkot? What do you like about this holiday?
So for us, Sukkot is about coming outside, moving from our permanent residence in our house and living outside, embracing nature, and like thinking about the our temporary existence, right? We live in our house the whole time during the year, and just to be outside and reconnect with the world that exists outside of our four walls. And also to come to a place like this in Jerusalem and almost recreate the Aliyah L'Regel, the kind of going up to Jerusalem, and to connect to that, thousands of years of history and tradition. To be a part of that is also very, very special.
First, I like the sukkah. It's come with the nature, with the leaf and everything, and it's green. And I like to sit there with my family. And the food, it's very good. And I think the most important thing that I remember is that God loves me, because it reminds us how Kadosh Baruch Hu, God give us a sukkah, give us house, when Am Yisrael walked to the desert for 40 years. And that's why we do it this mitzvah. We sit and we thought about all the miracles that God did for us, and it's amazing for me.
All the men, all the some men with all the world come to Jerusalem, come to the Kotel HaMaravi. All the time you see a lot of men, and it's very happy for me, for all the guy to come to Jerusalem.
So what is your name?
My name is Hans and I came from Holland.
Great. So why do you come to Sukkot on this time?
Israel is the Holy Land, and we are in Holland Christian. Sukkot is also a nice week to go with the Jewish people to have a lot of celebration, yeah.
And to be together, all the family, and we meet the family also and friends, and we are happy that all the Israeli are together, and we enjoy it.
Thank you. Hag Sameach. Hag Sameach. So, what is your name?
Monica.
Tobias.
And where are you from?
We are from Germany.
Are you visiting Israel specifically for the Feast of Tabernacles?
Yes.
So may I ask you, why do you come for this special holiday? Why do you come to Jerusalem?
Well, it's on our heart to celebrate together with the Jewish people, since we believe also in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and it's really written in the Tanakh that also the nations will join ultimately in Sukkot, and that's why we are here. Our heart just longs for this city and to be together with the Jewish people in this time especially.
Come to Jerusalem, come to Israel, because just looking around, seeing the families together, and just how, just the gift of being in a Jewish family. There's no other way to say it. They're an amazing, amazing group of following their faith so faithfully and modeling the love of just being with their family.
Sukkot is a holiday for the Jewish people. It's a holiday that came once in a year. In Sukkot we have two mitzvahs. One is to sit on Sukkah, That's why the holiday called Sukkot. And the other mitzvah, it's arba minim. It's to take 4 of kind of trees or vegetables. That one of this is called etrog. It looks like a lemon, kind of a lemon. Lulav, it came from the date tree. And the 3, it's hadas. It's just tree that made a good smell. And the 4, I don't have it here. It's arava. It's like leaves that grow up on a river. And the idea of the mitzvah, this tree and everything, it's representing part of the people. This, it's smell good and you can eat it. That represent the people that wake up every morning and say, what can I do for make the world better? And they not just saying it, they actually do something about it. So the smell representing the thought, and if you can eat it, it's representing the act, really. And this came from a date tree. You can eat a date, but this not smell good. So that's representing the people that they just do things better, but smaller, and not think about it, really. And this is for the people that think about doing better, but actually they not improve their skills every morning and try to do it better. They just think about it and not really do something. So, and the 4, it's not smell good and you can eat it. That represented the people that don't want to do good and they really don't do good. The people that we want to show less for the other people. And the idea of Sukkot is to take all this together and say, we want to have one nation, a big nation that, yes, we have good people, yes, and we have bad people, and we are not ignoring them or saying that we want nothing to do with them. No, they like a brother to us, and we want everybody together. And we are not ignoring the bad thing. We are trying, we take everybody together, and we do the mitzvah together. And we will be a great and strong nation if we'll be together. That's the idea of Sukkot. Have a good day.
From Jerusalem's municipality building to the Western Wall here behind me, I hope you enjoyed our Sukkot experience from Jerusalem, from this special city. I hope you'll learn something new, and we wish you Hag Sukkot Sameach, happy Sukkot from Jerusalem.